Welcome to the Employment Wednesday podcast with Yvonne Shabangu. Have you heard of the scripture Hosea 4, verse 6? My people perish because of the lack of knowledge. The same applies to your career. When you don't know what to do, when to do it, and how to do it, you are likely to make wrong career choices. But worry not. Employment Wednesdays is here for you to offer you all the answers relating to your career and offer you strategies to develop your career. Enjoy. Hello, everyone. You are welcome to another episode of Law Without Borders. Today, I'm seated with Makoka. But before we go into his introduction, I'd like to send out some special shout outs. The first one goes to Miss Nelly, and she says, truly an inspiring journey. So grateful. I'm so proud of you, Ndlamu, and can't wait for that book. Shout out to Yvonne, a great listener with impeccable interviewing skills. And then the next one goes to Mandla Malomane, who says, excellent. And then the next one goes to the simple bouquet, and she says, so bao patela shapu quotation marks, and then she says "Goriki jambe," because I love it so much when you ask this question. Hip hip hooray. You should see how I hype you when you ask this question all the time. And then the last one goes to Amo Helang, who says, I love her authenticity. Failure is not the end of the world. From academic exclusion to being an attorney, later a Concord clerk, I'm so inspired by her journey. Special shout out to you guys. If you want me to shout you out, make sure that you're commenting in the comment sections. And also remember to share the videos, guys. Remember to subscribe and remember to use the thanks option. This season is going to end soon. If you wanted to come back, you better use the thanks options. You better watch the ads. You better share the channel. And we are almost on 10,000 subscribers. So if you want us to get there sooner, you have to continually share the channel. Back to our guest. Thank you so much, Makoka, for honoring my invite. We are seated with Makoka. He's an LLB graduate from the University of Johannesburg. He's an admitted attorney, and he is a director of Makoka. And his firm specializes in the mining industry, entertainment, law industry, insurance, and finance industry, and many other areas of law. So, before we go into the serious stuff, we're going to start with the icebreakers. And the first one is, if you had a superpower, what would it be and why?
Superpower.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think just the ability to touch people's lives.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, if that's a superpower, in a way, like if I can touch people's life, that would be a superpower I would wish for. Yeah.
Okay. And then are you for summer or winter?
Definitely summer.
Why summer?
Summer. I don't like being cold.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd rather be warm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then if you could have dinner with one musician, who would it be and what is the first thing you would say to them?
One musician. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a tough one because I like music and it's a lot.
Yeah, I knew it would be tough, so I did it deliberately.
I'll probably want to have it with Jay.
Jay-Z?
Yeah.
Okay, what would you say to him?
I would maybe just ask him how does he deal with it when it gets tough.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the last one, what happens on June 16 every year in South Africa?
June 16 every year in South Africa? Every year, people, they celebrate. Yeah.
What do they celebrate?
You know, the youth, I don't know. What do they do? People drink. It's Youth Day, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
it is
then
Youth
people
Day.
drink,
It
yeah,
is
yeah.
Youth Day.
Yeah.
Given that this is Youth Month, so this is the first episode of the Youth Month, right? What do you wish? What do you wish the youth of today takes from the youth of 1976? Given that it's Youth Month, and on the 16th of June, we celebrate the youth that fought for us, and we celebrate the young people in general and the progress we've made in the country throughout the years. What do you wish the youth knows, or what would you say to them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit of a tough one because I don't really. I know maybe some of the struggles that the youth, people of the youth that time went through, maybe through just hearing or reading. But if you haven't really lived that experience, it's tough to read. But I think one thing that I've picked up from the youth of then is that they would, if they believe in something, they'll go after it.
Yeah.
There was much resilience, and they wouldn't just give up. I think, yeah.
Yeah, that's what you would want us to take from them.
Yeah.
And then what advice would you give to a young person living in South Africa?
I think that education is you can use it as a weapon.
Okay.
That's the advice I can give them. Yeah.
Okay, so go to school.
Yeah, like if, like even if you have some dreams, but like an education background gives you, a good.
Okay.
I think a good advantage.
Love that.
Yeah.
And then on the 25th of May, 2025, we celebrate Africa Day. What does it mean to be African to you, and what are your hopes for Africa?
Being an African to me just means, there's forming part of a certain culture. The fact that being from Africa, enables you to, be a part of a certain culture and also be exposed to different cultures. I think that's what really is important about being an African. I think, what was the other thing?
What are your hopes for Africa?
I just hope that things get better for Africa, as a whole, just better standard of living for people, in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can agree with that. I think that's my hope as well, that Africa gets to experience a better economy, better society, and that there is unity amongst Africans.
Yeah.
And then now we are going to go into your high school life.
Okay.
In high school, what did you want to be and why?
In high school, I wanted to be a lawyer, I think, yeah.
You've always wanted to be a lawyer?
Yeah. Yeah.
You never had a different type of dream? The law was always the dream?
I think maybe I can say before I was maybe sure about the law thing, I knew that I wanted to be in an office of some sort.
Okay, all
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So the goal was being in an office.
Yeah, the goal was to maybe, I always picture maybe running something, maybe running an
business.
organization. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, then the law thing came after.
Okay. So then now you decided that you're going to study law. What influenced your choice of university? Why did you choose to be at UJ? We have so many universities in South Africa. Why UJ?
I think UJ just stood out for me. Yeah, I think when I was in probably grade 10, 11, and 12, we were getting some, prospectors. There'll be guys that would come and give us, prospectors in high school. And I think the UJ prospectus is the one that stood out for me. It looked very appealing.
Oh, so just by paging through, you thought, this is the institution that I'm going to go to.
Yeah, I felt like I would fit into it.
Okay. And what was your second option when you applied? Did you just apply for LLB, or you had another option that you had applied for?
I had second options, but I never really, I had no plans with them. So it was LLB first option throughout the university. So it was like, okay, if I don't get LLB here at UJ, okay, I'll try at UP.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
I
so
see.
the other ones, I probably had second options, but I can't really recall. I think it was probably I don't remember.
So you're probably just putting them there just because there's a second option.
Yeah, because
you
we needed
knew,
to
like,
complete it.
okay,
Yeah, so I
the
couldn't
main
leave it.
option was what you were gunning for.
Yeah, I think it's at some point. I think I put second option was like international relations.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't even have plans with it. But
Okay. So then now you moved. Did you school in Limpopo?
Yeah.
Your high school.
Yeah.
So when you come to Joburg, is it your first time in Joburg, or had you been exposed to Joburg before that when you finished matric?
I probably was exposed to Joburg, but it was once. You know,
Okay.
I think I was in Pretoria. Yeah, I was
Okay.
exposed to Gauteng. Yeah, I think I went to Pretoria and then also Joburg. It was only probably once. It never like for a long period, maybe like a week or something. It was probably like a day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you move and then you go to the University of Joburg, and then you were staying at Rest at the time, right?
Yeah.
How was the transition like? Do you think your high school prepared you for university, and was it smooth? What are some of the challenges you experienced moving from a different province into a new province, and you're a new student, you're a first year?
I think one of the challenges that I can still maybe really point to is just the difference from, because I'm from a village, so when you come to the city, it's a bit different. And like I said, like South Africa, has different cultures. And yeah, you come to Joburg, there's now Zulus, there's yeah, but you just have to find your way or blend in. But that was just because I'm used to just being with vendors only. Now I'm with like different people from different cultures, so having to blend in or gel into that space was also a challenge. It's not like it was just easy. Like
Yeah.
yeah. And also I didn't go to a multiracial high school.
Okay.
We were vendors.
Literally, like
Yeah,
everyone
the
was
whole high
vendor. Were you guys being taught English in Venda? Because I know sometimes we're taught English in isiZulu.
Yeah,
like.
yeah, definitely.
Okay.
They would twist it there just so that we understand. Yeah.
Okay.
So
All
yeah,
right.
that was probably one of the challenges, but also just being like away because it's a bit far from home. So you wouldn't just maybe feel like today you had the West Week and just get on the taxi and get and go home. Like it would be a long trip. So the distance was also, what else? Yeah.
So basically, the culture shock was like language, different groups, and different cultures.
Yeah.
And then also the distance from Limpopo
Yeah.
to Joburg, not
Yeah.
being able to just have that support to say, you know what, I'm feeling terrible. Let me
Yeah.
just go home.
Yeah.
Because some people, and I think sometimes we take that for granted, right? That having support very accessible or very close by, you think it's such an easy thing. You think everybody can just pick up the phone, call their mom, or
Yeah.
everybody can just drive home. But now that you say it, when you think about it, it's like, at the time, you probably don't even have money for the bus to go
Yeah,
and come back,
yeah.
and you're thinking, if I was to go back, would they even understand the stresses that I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Because possibly you're the first person to study law at home,
Yeah.
Some people may have studied whatever, but it's like most of us, for people of color, we get to be the first of first. Like
Yeah,
everything
most
is first. So
things, yeah.
even when you're explaining to your people at home, it's like, oh, you're stressed about board exams. Oh, shame, sorry. So pass it next time. But it's like, you don't get it.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. Okay. So then now you're in. How is it? Was it easy for you? Or do you think high school prepared you for university? Were you prepared? Did you feel like, easy flow besides the distance and the different cultures?
From the being social in high school, or you mean from like academic perspective?
Everything.
Like everything.
Academic, socially, however you could have been prepared. Do you think high school prepared it? Do you think high school prepared you for university?
Yeah, in a way, I think it did.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it did. Yeah, it really did. Because it could have been better. For example, like things like computers, we didn't have those.
Okay.
So, for example, if we had those, it would have been much more easier. You know, when you get to university, like you already know how to use a PC because maybe the high school had it. But in terms of other things, like the high school, I think it was just our high school was just big on like the teachers were supportive. You know, so yeah, they would sort of like give us an idea of what university it's sort of like, and they try to equip us with maybe some advices that we can use when we get there. But in terms of like the whole environment that it really prepared me for university, I really don't know. But also just the fact that it was a good school, I think they emphasized on good grades and all that. So I think that also helps because so now when you get to university, like you have a good educational background. Yeah.
Actually, I think I'm gonna have to give a special shout out. I don't know if it's the teachers in Limpopo or it's the Department of Education in Limpopo, because I think everybody that has done their high school in Limpopo says they had support from their school.
Yeah.
So you said your school was like, it wasn't multiracial, so it means it was just like a normal school, somebody from a normal school, somebody from a private school, and somebody from a multiracial school actually said a very similar thing. So, which means we are all moving to Limpopo so that we can get the support that the teachers give. So I think it's a beautiful thing to know that there are actually still teachers that are fully invested in the future of the students that they're teaching. Okay.
Yeah.
So then now you are in university, right? And then you come from high school where possibly you are a good student or an A student. How did your first failure feel like when you were in university? Like that first 40% or 49% or 50%, how did it make you feel?
See, taking me back. But I think yeah. But I mean, we never really like failed the maybe like a test. You mean?
Yes, a test, not like the module, a test
Yeah.
where you're like, okay, it's getting real now. Because I mean, you come from high school where you're getting your 80s,
Yeah.
you can easily score an 80 or a 75.
Yeah.
And then now in uni, things are different.
Yeah.
And then for you to get a 70, you must fight a good fight, you
Yeah.
know? And then obviously there are tests where you got a shock. I remember my first 40% was in politics in test one. I cried so bad because I felt like my whole world was coming to an end.
Yeah.
So yeah, how did that first turning point make you feel?
I felt at first instinct I felt stupid. Yeah, I think mine was worse because I think it was probably business management, and I did business studies in high school. But I think it was just for that moment, and then it sort of like woke me up to be like it's real.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't get it right, it's gonna be like this. So yeah, I think it like the first one literally just I think it opened my eyes because when I got there, I had the idea that we in varsity now. It's not gonna be that tough. Even classes is not every day.
Yes.
So yeah, when it came, it made me realize that okay, it's not really like that. It's real. So you have to buckle up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you studied law. Did you know the options you have in law, or you were just hoping to figure it out? What did you think lawyers do? What was going to happen after you studied law? What was the plan? Did you have a plan?
Yeah, I did had a plan.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I think I read up on it. I mean, like the law thing. I never really had for example, a picture of like being in court and being a litigate. Yeah, I think I don't know where I got a hold of that book. Yeah, I think it was actually from a prospector. The one I think it was the one from UJ or something. And then I like they would tell you like what if you do an LLB like what you could be.
Really? I need to go and look at that prospectus. I've never actually looked. I'm so embarrassed. I've never looked at a prospectus.
No,
but I know UJ has. I've never really sat down and looked at it, but I know it's very detailed. I didn't know that it's detailed to the extent that it tells you what you could be.
Yeah, no, it'll actually tell you like you can be a prosecutor, legal advisor, commercial attorney. So I went through those stuff. So it was like, I think the first one was like an advocate. They give you everything. Like you can even be a magistrate. So there were like ones that I wasn't like interested in, like for example, the like court and all that stuff. Yeah, but when it came to the other stuff, like you can be an advisor or corporate, attorney or commercial attorney. I think those ones really,
They spoke to you.
yeah, they caught my attention. So I like even when I decided, sorry, that I'm gonna apply for an LLB, the plan was that I was gonna try to be like a commercial attorney.
Okay, nice. Okay, then when did you start looking for articles?
I probably started looking for articles second year. Yeah.
The second year.
Yeah, second year.
And then when do you finally secure articles?
I secured them early 2020. Yeah.
So that is like what? After you finished with your LLB? 2020. We finished in 2019.
We finished 2019, yeah. And then I got but I mean, it was a long process. Like we started it early, like I think probably just a little bit early in the year, just before mid year. I mean, the whole process, maybe like the interviews and VEC work. So it started as that, and then the actual appointment it's just that it came like the following year, 2020.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So it was a long process. What are some of the things you had done to actually secure the articles? How were you proactively looking for articles, considering that we all wanted to go to Big Fives, but unfortunately they don't have capacity to carry us all. So at some point, some of us had to settle for small firms, medium firms. How was your search like beyond beyond your usual way of applying for articles, like in big law firms and etc.?
Yeah, I think we probably all start there, né? The big firms. Yeah,
Then you start scratching out.
Yeah, then we're like, okay, that one is out, that one is out. I think it literally just became like that. So it started as like the big ones, and then however it went, and then we went to the medium-sized ones. Yeah, I think we stuck there.
Okay.
Yeah, and
so there's something that I learned from you, and that's how I got articles. I remember we had the same bursary. I don't know how we had the same bursary. We had, I think it was Nedbank.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And then, so Nedbank would send us like, I think 1,000 Rand or so.
Yeah.
And then I remember I was having a conversation with you. You're like, no, now I buy airtime and I call these law firms.
Oh, yeah.
And then I literally sat down and listed so many law firms. I would go on Google Yellow Pages and say law firms in Randback. And then I'd call them and then, hi, I'm looking for articles. And then some of them would say they have no articles. Some of them would give me their emails. Yeah. And then I actually started doing that. And by the time I got articles, like I had even forgotten how I applied because I had called so many law firms, right? And it brings me to a point that I want us to discuss, which is that point now when you say to me you'd buy a time with your like bursary money, like, and then call law firms, what do you think is the importance of actually making sacrifices to get to where you need to be? Because sometimes I think we're sold the dream of soft, right? Go to university, just pass, but when you get to university, you realize that it's more than just passing that you need. Like you need to think outside of the box. So actually, basically the question is, why is it important to think outside of the box? And to people that are looking for articles or looking for jobs, what would you recommend that they do to help them stand out compared to other people?
Yeah, I think that, yeah, and I get you. And I remember when I told you that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was so grateful because like I didn't know anything about articles. Like I just hear bits and pieces. And by the time I started applying proper in third year.
Yeah.
So, and that's when I started calling because everyone is closed. Everyone is taking articles for like 2022 years in advance. And I'm trying to get articles right after we graduate. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it's all about the passion. Like, if you have a dream about something, like, I mean, the thing about being a commercial attorney, for example, I dreamt about that when I was in vendor. So it was like, like, for example, maybe big firms or maybe some firms maybe giving us an unsuccessful letter, that wasn't gonna stop the dream. So it was like literally almost whatever it takes. Like if we have to call them and just say, I think even with most of the calls, I think it started off as just asking for VAC work.
Yes,
Yeah, so it wasn't even
that was the
about,
chat.
like,
It wasn't
yeah,
about
like-
articles. Yes, it was the VAC work part to get the
Yeah.
experience.
To get the experience, yeah. And then obviously the plan was that, when you have VAC work, at least you get exposed
Yes.
to some of these firms. And then, so I think it was just that. It's just if you have a burning for something, against all odds, it could be. I mean, sometimes we took the CVs there in Centon. You would take a taxi, have to go to
Physically,
MTN,
yeah.
and
Yeah,
But I
and,
think
and
it's-
I remember that my dad did that for me. Like, I would print them out and he had a bunch.
Yeah.
He would just take them to different office parks and leave them there. And you're wondering, are they going to view it? And it's just like, just do whatever it takes.
Yeah, just do what it. Yeah, I think it comes back to that. Like if you passionate about something and you maybe have a certain dream, like nothing is just gonna,
Okay, so basically just keep persisting.
Yeah, persist. If it means that, because I mean, probably before we did the call strategy thing, we sent out the
Yes,
CV. And
yes.
that part didn't work. And then it was like, okay, we'll try the call. Like, maybe after sending them now, we'll actually call them.
Yeah, follow up as well.
And follow up, yeah. So it's just that. So if you're passionate about something, and at that time, it didn't even feel like too much work.
It didn't.
Yeah, it
You're
didn't.
just so excited and I think that's the beauty about being ambitious and being a dreamer.
Yeah.
It's not as like you have this hope, man. Like there's this enthusiasm. You're like, yeah, one day
Yeah,
we're gonna
yeah.
stay in Santin. You see that building there, I'm gonna have an office, and like you just because of dreaming, you just wanna keep going and you wanna
Yeah.
keep doing it. Like you
Yeah.
fight with everything you have.
Yeah.
Okay, so you get articles. How was your experience in articles? Do you think university prepared you for articles?
Yeah, in a way it did. Like from, I think because like, for example, university now, we were dealing with like, people from different cultures, and the fact that there were so many cultures, like, English then became the center language.
Yeah.
So it makes it much more easier because now you're more comfortable, to converse with people out of just, just hanging with maybe a certain group of people like then that maybe in high school, how it was. Now it's like you're exposed to different cultures. Now you speak English on a daily. So, and also like you make friends, maybe you do activities, those type of things, they kind of like help you to be an all-rounded person. Now when you go and do articles also, it's not only about the skills, you can converse with people because of university. Now,
Yes.
you have to, maybe like simple activities like going out with your friends, ordering stuff at like the restaurants and stuff. Those are things, when you get to these firms doing articles, you're going to be expected to do some of those things. And
Yeah.
I think university does. And also just from the educational point of view, like, the fact that, the essays we write, the assignments we write, those things kind of like prepare you depending on, the type of training you're getting. But at the end of the day, it comes back to like researching and the like. So it does really prepare you.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what was your highlight of your articles? Is there anything that you'd say, oh my God, that was a highlight of my articles? And then like a moment that was very pivotal or like a shifting point of your career during articles? Because I do believe that most of the times when we're in articles, right, that's when we decide. Like
Yeah.
most of us, that's when we decide we're falling off, we're
Yeah,
going
yeah.
into practice, we're going in-house,
Yeah.
and all of that. So what was the highlight of your articles, and when was the turning point that helped you sort of decide how you're going to shape the rest of your career?
I think the highlights was just like the work that we were doing. Yeah, it was, it's work that, it feels empowering. Like when you get involved in those type of, the matters that we were doing, I think it's actually moments that I will highlight. For the longest time. So, yeah, And then you said the pivot moment
Yes.
probably has to do with board exams in between. Like,
How were those? How was your experience with board exams?
it was tough. Yeah, it was tough. I think for me, I think we probably, I was about to say, I think it was probably the first time I worked and studied at the same time. But I think, we did. But I mean, that time we were just at UJ, like tutors. I wouldn't really.
Yeah, it wasn't intense.
Yeah, it wasn't intense. You can
Yeah.
manage it. But board exams themselves, like having to go do your articles, like it was a 9 to 5, and then also have to do them. Yeah, it was there were points. There was like,
Is it worth it?
yeah. There was a point where I probably went to the office not feeling my whole body because,
Of the studying.
Yeah, but we it's just like it passed, came and passed. And,
There's people that I saw the list of the results, and it's always the same as previous, disappointing, saddening, because you're just like, oh my God.
yeah.
How, like, because for me, it's always hard to understand how a person would have passed an LLB gets like maybe a 5%. Like, it's always an utter shock to the system. But also, I can imagine how saddening it is for the person going through that, the person who gets that 5%, or the person who fails that exam, or the person who gets that oral exam. What would you say to a person right now that has failed their board exams or is preparing for their board exams, like just to encourage them?
Yeah, I think just not giving up. It always pays off. Like sometimes in the middle, like it feels like, man, it's really even worth it. Sometimes you might even feel like, let me just maybe go do compliance or something. But I think what I can say to them is a fulfilling feeling, like when you actually, finish and get admitted, standing in front of the judge and they welcome you to the profession. You feel like you look back and you're like, it's worth it. So I would just say, don't give up. Yeah, it's tough, but and the good thing about it is that you can keep on trying. So just don't give up. That's what I can tell them.
Yeah. I'd say just, guys, study harder. Like, I don't know, like just study harder and push. Like, I think now, push as much as you can, because apparently after this, you have to write 5 exams. So, like, fight for it as if your life depends on it.
Are they turning them into like 5?
Yeah, it's going to be 5 papers.
What are they aiding?
So there's a paper I think they're breaking down to like, hopefully it works to the advantage of the candidates to say, okay, they're trying to remove some parts. But so it's no longer going to be 4 papers, it's going to be 5 papers. So I think this cohort, if they don't pass in August, I think next year, March, it's going to be like 5 papers. Yeah, so whatever you do, fight like your life depends on it. Try to push as hard as you can. Okay, so you get done with your boards and everything. At some point, you go in-house. What was that decision? Okay, wait. I think the interesting part is you go in-house, right? But you even go as far as moving for this, like, living Joburg. Like, you go to a different province, right, to go do this in-house job. What was the motivation behind that? How do you even get to a point where you're like, remember the dream is being a commercial attorney, but now you end up going in-house. Why are we tampering with the dream? Why are we changing? Why are we now doing something different?
I think it was probably just time to move. It was because it's like when you're doing your articles, you're learning, and then it is, and then I think probably became a designate for some time, then an associate. Yeah, so like there's only like so much learning a person can do, and then at that, at least at that particular point in time, I felt that it'll also be good, to just learn, new things, just explore. Yeah, but I mean, even the in-house thing, it was actually just still centered around, sort of like commercial law.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but obviously it was a bit different, but it had some sort of like an element or an aspect of commercial law.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't really saying it's totally different.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hear that. So was it something that you were thinking about? Obviously, you said there was a turning point when you started doing boards. Like, is this worth it? With the in-house, you going in-house, were you thinking about it, or was it like a thing of an opportunity came and then you're like, you know what, I'm grabbing this opportunity? How do you end up going in-house?
I think partly probably the check.
Chalete.
The check probably drew my attention, but
What's on offer? What's on the table?
Yeah, what's on the table?
Okay.
The numbers. So, but I had it in the back of my mind,
Okay.
Yeah, like I think also when I told you, like during my article, like the things that I could highlight. I can say maybe when I was still in practice before going in-house, the things that I could highlight in that space was like, the matters we did. So, with that being the case, it's like there was going to be at some sort of like difference in terms of the work, even though they were related. So a part of me in the back of my head was thinking about it to say, Pella, there we were like, maybe the difference, I can touch on some of the difference. Like, in corporate, you're dealing with, different clients coming with different issues all the time and all that. And then that side, it's something a little bit different. So the fact that part was sort of like, how you practice is, consultation and then you get, so the traditional part of it, the fact that it was being taken away or it wasn't going to be there anymore did sort of like dawn on me. But I was open to still go try and, how can I say, not try, but like to sort of like explore what that other world is, it's about.
Okay, then again, also there's possibly another culture shock, right? I don't know, by the time you move, your job was in Northwest, right?
Yeah.
So you moved to Northwest. This is possibly a place you haven't been to. Oh, that smile is giving. One day you left Joburg and you woke up in Northwest.
Yeah, no, probably not resting back, but I've probably been to like, Northwest. Yeah, okay, I have been to Northwest.
Okay, but now you are moving there like seriously. Like, you're going to wake up there, you're going to work there. Like now, this is where you are centered, where everything happens. How was that transition for you? And how did you find the movement from practice into in-house? Was in-house as easy as they say, or you had a bit of discomfort?
I think maybe there was probably a bit of a discomfort because the environments are different.
Yeah.
Yeah. The in-house, job that I was doing was probably my first job.
Okay.
So, did I say the in-house?
Yes, you said the in-house. The practice was your first job.
Probably was my first job. So, I had embodied that environment and the culture, of law firms, in practice. So to have to transit to like a culture of like a mine, it's there's a lot of discomfort, there you have to clock in, you have to, the other side you used to, we still had to get in on time, but we were like,
a bit flexible.
Yeah, a bit flexible. Because, so that transition was a bit uncomfortable.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what was when you went in-house and this is a new environment, this is mining, you're clocking and all of that, what did that season of your life teach you? And how do you think it changed how you see your career?
I think in as much as maybe there was the difference in the environment that brought the discomfort, there was still like a lot of things that I learned or took from being there. Like I had an amazing boss. I think she taught me a lot. Like there's things that I learned there that I couldn't learn at in-house,
Articles,
like at a law firm. For example, and it's the small stuff. It's like actually using Word effectively.
Yes.
Like we would just like do maybe agreements and then we send them to the secretary maybe, and then they fix the formatting. Like in-house, like we got into details into those things. Like, no, you can actually learn how to build a table of content from scratch, and those skills I still use them till this day.
Yeah.
So there are things that I really took that were significant.
I can relate to that so much in relation to being in-house, right, and my current job right now.
Yeah.
Particularly with Excel. I was
Yeah.
so terrible with Excel.
Yeah.
Like, I legit didn't know how Excel
Yeah.
works. And then right now, my boss is pedantic about Excel. She puts everything on Excel.
And you'll be surprised what Excel does.
Yo,
You
it does a lot of amazing things.
formulas and
Yeah,
whatnot,
and
you
at
know.
first it used to bug me. I'm just like, dude, I can just send you an email.
Yeah.
Why must I put this thing on Excel? But over time, as she was teaching, giving reasonings and stuff like that, then you realize, okay, actually, I'd rather use Excel. So now
Yeah.
I'm also like an Excel baby.
Yeah.
When I explain something, put it on a spreadsheet, put it on
Much more
Excel.
easier.
It's easier to see and it's easier to compare. So I can definitely agree with you that sometimes, because of the pressure, I think as well in practice, some of the things are overlooked,
Yeah.
or some of the
Yeah.
things are delegated,
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
But when you are in-house, like, it's like the bigger things don't matter.
Yeah.
It's the small
It's the small
things.
things,
It's
yeah.
the details that matter. Okay. So what other, since you said you had an amazing boss, right? And she taught you many things, right? What character trait do you think, after being in that environment, you actually picked up that is good for you, good for your business, and good for your growth?
Probably, I can think of one now.
You can think of one.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, can think of one.
Okay, think of one.
Yeah.
Okay, so then, you do in-house, and then nebali patela sharp akir, and then abali patela sharp, you decide you're gonna go back to practice. Why? Why didn't you just decide to continue with doing legal advisory work? And like many people, when they go in-house, like I always say, I can't picture myself as a practicing attorney. Like, I struggle to see that picture. I can't even paint it, right? Because I've become familiar with how in-house works and stuff like that. So I've seen that most people who go in-house, that's their route. They continuously go in-house, or they'll try something different, but it's rare that they actually go back to practice. So why did you decide that, you know what, let me go back to practice? And then you don't just go back to practice, you start your own law firm.
Yeah.
Why that?
I think it was much more easier to go back to like practice after having spent some time like in-house or getting exposure to in-house, because then I was able to like really decide or feel what I really like.
Yes.
Because it's like I've dealt with that like of clients, and then I've dealt with in-house, and I think the practicing stood out for me because it was more challenging. Like every day you have to deal with different issues. Maybe not every day, but it's different issues, and just the fact that I had an opportunity to be in both sides. I think I was able to then make a decision to say practicing is what I want to do. Yeah, because. And I think all those sort of like years of sacrifice, studying and whatnot, and the issues with boards and the like, it'll be, you sort of like understand that it must have a much bigger sort of like purpose or calling. Like, because if we doing work for different individual or different companies, we are sort of like making a contribution in a way. Yeah, it's not the same as being in the office and maybe having to eat like in-house and do one particular work. It's like we can get a call from this client and we help them with their method. We get a call from another client, and so that's much more fulfilling. Like I used to get that when I was still in practice with the previous firm. I used to get it, but then now it's like I think the decision also was just that when I do go back, at least I wanna do it on my own, like just have some sort of like control over it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hear that. So to a person who's like an LLB graduate, right? would you recommend that they decide at LLB whether they want to go in-house or practice, or would you recommend that a person, if they have capacity to do so, be flexible enough to try practice and then try in-house, and then by the time they make a decision, they're making a decision based on lived experience? Or would you say a person must just, from LLB, they can just specialize?
I think it's like I think it's not a matter of like in-house or like in practice. I think it's a matter of like what you like passionate about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, for example, if you passionate about litigation, just do it. And I mean, it's probably not gonna be easy. Maybe in the way you might feel overwhelmed, and then there's nothing wrong with like then going in-house and then you see that it's not for you, then you can just simply go back.
Okay, so basically follow your heart, follow your passion.
Yeah.
And if it gets overwhelming, you're allowed to change your mind.
Yeah.
Try there, try that, and then you can make whatever decision you'd like to make.
Yeah.
And how is the process like having to start your own law firm from ground? Is it easy? How does it work? Is it stressful? What are some of the challenges in between?
It's not that difficult. Yeah, I think if you want to do it and if you have the passion for it, you can do it. You just register it just like any company. And you take it from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I want you to take us to the day you actually decide to register the law firm. What was happening in your mind? Because I do know that sometimes certain things you think them through for a long time. And then one day you wake up, you're like, you know what, today I'm doing it. What was what was you when you decided to open the law firm, like register it and actually start operating it?
Yeah. I don't think it was like a day thing. I think it was something I probably had it in me for like some time. Like probably it was probably instilled in me also like after seeing how complicated it is to get articles and things like that. Having to fight to get in and stuff. So like I think from when I saw that hardship, I was like, if I ever get an opportunity to have my own law firm, I'll just probably do that. Yeah, so I think it wasn't like a day's decision. So it was like it's been a thing. And also when I left Northwestern and I came back to Joburg, like it was already a thing that I've decided. It was just a matter of like, I think maybe I'll probably have started the process, but like there's a lot of intricacies and stuff that you need to like go through, and we probably have started the process and then like there were other stuff still remaining. So like for the whole thing to come together, it's like you have to do this, you have to deal with that organization, deal with that one, and then so it wasn't even done, for example, or like maybe the registration would have been done, but then other things it's just.
All the time.
Yeah.
And then what is the biggest challenge you've faced thus far having opened your law firm? What do you think is, when you think about it, you're just like, yo, kwazi kwanzima ukuba i-director.
I think it's just like any other business. I think I think the fact that maybe just transitioning from the fact that maybe you're used to having like a payday or something like that. Now it's like we just work, and when we get paid, we get paid. Yeah.
When we don't get paid, we don't get paid.
Yeah. If they're not paying us, then they're not paying us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's no like security. That's what I can say.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if it's a bad month, it's a bad month.
Okay, if it's a good month, it's a good month. You must not leave out the good times as well, Pella. Because sometimes we talk about the bad, but when it gets good, I feel like that's the thing about law, right? In as much as it has its own dark sides and stuff, but I feel like when it gets good, it really gets good. And when it gets bad, it gets bad.
gets
There's
really
no
bad.
in between.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the saddest part about it. So how did you feel when you got your first client? How did it feel like?
The first client, I like it was. We had some clients I think before the firm was started.
Hi. So when you
So it was like
teach us your ways. So you were planning, you were just looking and spotting. You're like, that one I'm going to definitely reach out to as soon as we're operating and everything like that.
No, the thing is, I think some of the matters were even ongoing because I think before we made the firm official, I was doing work for clients, through it's a consulting firm.
Okay.
Yeah, so we had some clients that we had there in the consulting firm, and one of the things that like really called for us to actually open the firm was the fact that some of those matters we actually couldn't like see them through, via a firm.
Okay.
It's like we do letters of demand, for example. Then it's like
After that, what must happen now?
like they
So
didn't
we can't.
pay. What so
Yeah.
it would be much more easier if we do it through a firm because then we can institute legal proceedings.
Okay.
Yeah.
What has been the greatest lesson you've learned about yourself through opening your own law firm and about running a business?
That I've learned.
Yeah.
I think about myself. With opening of a firm, I think what I've learned about myself is the fact that if I decide that I'm gonna go after something, I probably would do it. Like it's like sometimes I see it and I look maybe at like some of the matters and stuff, and I'm like, can't believe that we're running. And it's like we just soldiering on, but then I get that from those situations I start saying, okay, maybe if I really put I'm that person that if I put myself into something we can actually do it. That's what I learned about myself. And then about the business, about running a business, I think I can say having a lot of things. I don't want to really touch more on the finances because it's it's the most touching part, Yeah, but I think just what I've learned about business ever since I opened my firm is that faith plays like a very big role.
Faith.
Very big role. Like I think you can be good and all that, but you have to actually believe that we're gonna get business. So like I think I can even feel it like on a month where I feel like I believe that it's gonna be a good month, or like my belief it's good, or my faith is good on that month. I don't know, like we actually do well. And when you feeling down, and it gives you the same energy. Yeah, that's what I've learned.
So actually, you have to, if you're running a business, you have to remain hopeful and have faith and believe that come thunder, come rain, things are going to work out. We are going to get
I don't
work.
like hope. I like faith.
Oh, faith.
Yeah,
okay.
okay. Like hope. I hope this happens. I believe this is
okay. I
happen.
love that more. Actually, no. Yeah, you're right. Faith. I believe that this is going to happen. This is going to work, and it has to work. And you've actually seen that when you have faith, things look up. And when you are not hopeful, then things don't look up. No, that's great. How does a day in a life of a director, do you have like a routine or is it dependent on the type of work you have?
I think it like I try not to have like routines, It's like, I really, if for example, if I have a matter that's really like on me, like I want to get it out, like I don't even think about routines. Like I can just work on it, maybe up until I get hungry, and then I go eat, then I come back, and then so it's like it really depends on the matter. And sometimes maybe if it's really like mild, I can try to stick to some routines, but when there's matters, I hardly have any routines. I'll just try to get it out if it's possible. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you had a chance to wait it out now, waiting to open your law firm, would you do it? And if you wouldn't do it, why do you think, or why would you advise somebody to start as early as they can or to wait it out?
Okay. So you're saying, like, would I advise someone to do it or just wait out a bit?
Yes. So, like, for
Yeah.
instance, now, right, for me, when I look at you, I have other female friends that have started their own law firm straight out of articles or straight out of admission. For me, that's bravery. Like, you know, because I believe that I would have waited it out. Like, okay, let's get experience or let me network first, you know, because I love safety in a way, right? But when I look at you guys, I believe that you're risk takers. So basically, would you recommend a person to wait it out? Or would you say they can start as soon as they can? And if you had the opportunity to wait it out, would you have waited longer? Or you think you started at the perfect time?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I think I wouldn't advise anyone to like wait it out or do it all like immediately. But I would advise them that if they feel like that's what they want to do, if it's a decision, it's not an easy one, but if you constantly feel like you can do it, you probably can do it, but like, and the reason why I'm saying it would be difficult to say you can go for it early or wait it out is because every person's circumstances or situations are probably different. Like I said, with ours, I had a consulting thing. So it was like, even when we started now, it wasn't like we have to fish for the first client,
Yes.
it was people that so yeah, it will be, you have to look at your own situation. And if you feel and believe that you can do it, you should probably do it. And sometimes if you feel like you still want to learn more and make more connects, I think that's also fine. And then when you feel that you're fine, then you can actually do it.
So basically, whenever you feel ready.
Yeah, when you feel
ready to make the decision. Yeah. Okay, sometimes you never really get ready, but when you think you feel like, okay, I can take this decision, go for it. Whether you're waiting it out or whether you're doing it straight after admission, like it depends on where you are at heart or at your decision making.
Yeah. So it's like, obviously, I get there's gonna be phases to it. Like you can't, for example, open it before you finish your articles.
Yes, yeah. Obviously.
So it's like, if you can, when you're in that position where you can open it, let's say you've done with your boards and the like, and in that position, you really feel like it'll be nice for me to practice at my own firm and deal with my own clients. I think then you should do it.
Okay.
And then if you feel that you're not ready for it, maybe it might give you a challenge. Maybe you still want to stay a bit longer, make connections, and learn. I think that's also fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then if you were to recommend a book, if you're a book reader, or a movie to someone, what movie would you recommend and why? They only have one opportunity to watch a movie and they're asking you. Or read a book.
It's probably do a movie.
Okay.
Yeah. I wonder which movie that would be. It would probably be a Scarface movie.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Just if you want to watch a good movie, you can watch a Scarface movie.
Scarface movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what is that one trait that you think every person should have? Character trait. Yeah, character trait or a skill that you a skill that you think every single person should learn or should invest in. Yeah.
Yeah. I think just also, you can invest in just good communication skills. I think it's very difficult to do anything like when you really kind of like, communicate and all. I think those are just important skills that a person should have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We've come to the end of the episode. Thank you so much for honoring my invite impromptu. If you were to encourage someone at home, your last words, oh no, my favorite question, what is the season of your life? If you were to title it, what is it?
Just probably the building season.
Okay. Building. Bob the Builder. You're building.
we're on our
Okay.
way.
Okay, that's beautiful. Love it for you. I can't wait to see the full mansion. And then your parting words to everybody at home, if you are to encourage a person searching for a job or a person who's about to pivot or searching for another opportunity, or a person who's just at home thinking, what now? What next? I need to make a decision.
Just not giving up. And but I think that the one thing I could say is just like if you have dreams, just try to stick by them.
Okay.
I don't think like you would, feel a certain way or think about certain things if you can't attain them.
Okay.
So yeah, I think it's much more. It's easy to just give up on your dreams. I think that's one thing I keep. Like if you're a young person out there, and you actually have a certain dream, maybe having a certain life or something like that, you should just stick to it because dreams are valid. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. To everybody at home, thank you so much for watching. Happy Youth Month. If you've got any questions, you can leave them in the comment section. If you've got any guest recommendation, you can leave their name in the comment section and I will get them for you. If you're a young person out there, remember that your dreams are valid and remember that sometimes it's entirely up to you to get up, roll your sleeves and get the work done. Nobody will execute your dream the same way you would. So I can encourage you. He can encourage you. We can write books on books, but it's also up to you to execute because only you can see how far the vision goes. Happy Employment Wednesdays. Happy Youth Month. Thank you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment.